What is going on, everyone? We finally have the replay system released. After years of asking, years of memes, and years of spamming Valorant's comment sections, all that hard work by the community paid off and we got what we wanted. I'm going to go through the entire replay system, how it works, and things you can do and things you can't. Off the bat, unfortunately, you can only watch replays for games that you play after you update your client to the new patch. So if you did hope to be able to watch previous games that you played, that won't be possible. To save a replay, obviously you have to play and finish a game. Once the game has ended, you will see match replay and an icon on the top left just above your rank. Once you click this icon, the client will download the match and save it. Then you can just click on the play button here to watch the replay. If you don't want to watch the replay instantly, you can also just download the replay and leave the game or play more matches. The replay does save in your career, and it even gives you a little icon here when you have a new replay saved. Just click on your career. Let's ignore that performance for now. And then you'll be able to watch the replay with this button on the side. You can also filter your games to show only the replays that you have downloaded as well, which is pretty nice. Alright, so let's jump into this replay. On the loading screen, it tells you the map, date, and time that this game was played. And once you're in, you'll be automatically spectating quote-unquote player 1. This doesn't really mean anything, the system just designates each player in the match from 1 to 0, with player 10 being the number 0 just so you can click on it on your keyboard. You're going to have the replay user interface up with several different controls for you to use. You'll see on the timeline there are dark and light gray colored bars. These each represent a round that was played and how long each round took based on the size of the bar. You can also hover on it and it will tell you the exact time frames and the number of the round as well. This icon here tells you where the halftime point is and when sides were switched. And on the bottom here you have the total duration of the replay, where in this case it was 28 minutes and 48 seconds. If you left click your mouse, the replay snaps to the next player, and if you click right, it snaps back to the previous player in the same order so it's not randomized. You can also press the number 1 on your keyboard to immediately snap to player 1 in the match, where in this case it's the enemy team's Astra. And you can also press on number 2, number 3, and number 4, and so on. The play button obviously plays and pauses the replay, and you can also play and pause using the spacebar on your keyboard. These two 5s here allow you to fast forward 5 seconds or rewind 5 seconds of the replay. I don't really like how it speeds up the replay until 5 seconds later. It kind of gets annoying when you need to do it multiple times. It would have been better if it just snapped 5 seconds later, but since the system is new, I'm sure they'll be updated and adjusted in the future based off community feedback, hopefully. These arrows here allow you to snap to the start of the next round or the start of the previous round depending on the arrow that you click. And the number in the middle indicates which round of the total rounds played you are currently viewing. This option here is a speed adjuster. You can adjust the speed of the replays from 0.1 times all the way up to 8 times. I'll go through each one so you can see what they look like. This tool here is my favorite. It allows you to transition from first-person viewing to a free observer camera mode, so you can fly around the entire map and watch different angles of plays and executions if you want to analyze it visually. It also makes it feel like you're watching a VCT game, so it's a pretty cool mode. I'll give you an example of how to use it. For example, this terrible sight execution on A, you can just fly up here and angle the camera so it catches all the angles and analyze what happened and what went wrong. Here's a good example of what went wrong, with my dumbass ulting the smoke, not realizing the deadlock already pushed out.
Planted. One enemy remaining.
So yeah, it's really cool, lots of fun ways to capture the rounds and analyze every play to see what worked and what didn't so you can adjust your playstyle moving forward and hopefully improve. And of course, if you're playing with a duo, trio, or a 5-stack, it's even more helpful for you guys to work out how to coordinate better. If you need to use your cursor while in this free observer mode, just press the middle mouse button and your cursor will appear, and then just press it again for it to go back to the camera mode. And you can also hide the user interface by clicking T on your keyboard, or just clicking this icon here. Okay, now let's go through some of the options that you can turn on and off directly from the interface. When you click the settings button, you can see a bunch of the keybinds on the right side of the screen and then the options on the left. The first option is show lines for kills and deaths on match timeline. What this does is exactly what it says. It shows the kills and deaths of the players. Now it doesn't show the cumulative kills and deaths of every player on the timeline, as obviously this would be too messy. So if you do notice, you actually can't see anything in the timeline right now while I'm in the free observer mode. But once you go back to viewing an individual player in the match, then the kills and deaths for that player will appear in the timeline. The teal dots are the kills that they got in the round, and the red line represents when they were killed. So let's go here to where it looks like our Clove got 2 kills and then died shortly after.
One enemy remaining.
And when you switch between the different players, the kills and deaths on the timeline will adjust accordingly based on which player you are viewing, so each player will have a different one. Similar to kills and deaths, there's also the option to view the ultimates that were used on the timeline. Again, it's agent specific and will only show and change depending on which player you are viewing in the match. And the ultimate icon is this white star on the timeline. So it looks like here we have Viper using her ult in round 12, and if we go to it, we can see it on the replay.
Toxins, don't get in my way.
Same here with Jet, although it does show multiple stars for her, which I'm not too sure why, if that's a bug or if it's supposed to indicate the end of the ult. Next we have show full screen blind for observers. This one is straightforward. It basically changes it so if the person that you are viewing gets flashed in the replay, it shows exactly what they saw in the actual game. So it shows the completely flashed screen depending on how good the flash connected. And as you can see, I'm a professional, so this player was fully flashed. When you have this option off, it allows you to still see what's going on in the round even if the player is flashed, but instead it just has an icon to tell you that the player was flashed. If you've watched VCT, then you've seen this before plenty of times. Show keyboard shortcuts on control panel is self-explanatory. It just adds these shortcuts under the different tools so you can toggle them without having to use your mouse. And show final match stats in scoreboard shows the final match stats in scoreboard. Now this is just what we have with the replay system user interface itself. There are a lot more things that you can adjust by hitting escape and going into the viewing tab. Here you have some more options under the general tab, such as changing the speed of the observer free camera mode. You can hide the player arms and just a whole bunch of other things that you can adjust. Under controls, this is where all the keybinds can be found, and you'll find that there are a lot more things you can do with the replay system here as well. Some of the most important ones are outlines, for example, or if you want, you can call them wall hacks. You can toggle on and off player outlines, where you can see them in the replay and analyze crosshair placement, or you can keep them off to get a view of what the player was seeing in game. Another common one is sight lines. Basically, these lines that you see coming out of each player alive are called sight lines, which indicate the direction that the player is looking at and where their crosshair is placed. You can toggle this one off and on as well. But the most important one on this list is that there is a keybind that allows you to follow projectiles. This is going to be really popular for those of you who want to learn lineups or practice lineups and see how you can improve or make new ones. Once you press the keybind, for me it's F, the camera snaps to the projectile thrown by the player that I'm viewing, and from here you can watch in real time or adjust the speed to make it slower or faster, and see where the projectile went and where it landed. Really cool and very useful to have. Alright, now that we have the replay system's in-game functions out of the way, let's go through some other aspects. Riot has confirmed that replays will not affect your game's performance, so if you are worried about having frame drops or performance issues because of replays, don't worry, your games won't be affected. The replay system is currently only available for unrated, competitive, swift play, and premier, so all the other modes including customs unfortunately will not have this function at the moment. The replay system also does not record text or voice chat, which honestly sucks because it absolutely should, and I think that's a really big limitation of it, but hopefully this does change in the future. Unfortunately, there are no clipping abilities within the replay system, So if you do ace in a round, you won't be able to isolate and clip just that section. You also can't share your replay system or view the replays of other players because they are client specific at the moment. Things like sprays, flexes, and weapon sound effects are also not going to be visible in replays. Just like how you aren't able to see them in a live game from other players, replays work the same way, which again, I think is pointless and they should add it. If you are lagging or another player is lagging in the game, the replays do capture this and they may appear to stutter or skip in the replay. And a big PSA, if you do suspect a player is cheating, make sure you do report them during the game and not just based off the replay that you watch, because Riot has noted that due to the client and server ping differences, it's possible that the players could move unnaturally. But I mean, if it comes to something like wall hacks, it can be pretty easy to catch even with ping differences. But anyways, make sure to report in game. And there are a few other issues that are known to Riot and they are working on it, but that's pretty much it for the replay system. I'm really excited for this, as I'm sure everyone else is. Make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, as I do have many more videos coming out on the new Agent 29. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section on what you think so far about the replay system. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.